Okay, so did I just see myself? Oh, okay, I think that was a glitch. All right, so we're talking about parameters and arguments, right? And we learned that parameters are the variables you pass into a function at the point of defining that function. Arguments are the variables or the values you pass into the function at the point of invoking it, right? Now, we all know what invoking means. We all know what's it called? Defining means. So I believe that's okay, that's clear. Now, one more thing we need to work on. Take note also, we are discussing some characteristics of functions here, right? So we're looking at what I'm going to say, default argument. Now, when it comes to default arguments, I'm still going to use this great, right? This is my best great. Now I can have name here, and I can have gender here, right? So I'm having two parameters in this case, right? Now, please, it is important you understand something, that I'm having two parameters here, and they are referred to as the values I'll put in them are arguments, right? And those arguments are referred to as positional arguments. Take note of that, positional arguments, right? So let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. I can say, hello, name, right? You are a gender and you look good, right? So if we invoke this argument, this function here, right? We invoke it here, and let me if I instantiate it, I can say this is z or y equals greet, right? So if I say y, now I want you guys to see this. It will give me an error, but I want you guys to see the error. It's taking some time to. Okay, good. Can you see the error, please? Can you guys see the error? Can you guys please see the error?
Yes.
You see, we have
Yes, we can.
a type error. Greet function missing two required positional arguments, name and gender. So take note, positional argument. Positional argument tells you that the argument has to follow the position with which the parameters were given, right? So it will be syntactically correct, but semantically wrong if I put this here. I come here and I put this here. I say, let me say 78, then I come here and I put John, right? I run this now, you can see it. This is syntactically correct, but semantically wise, it's not correct. You understand that? So the position of the argument matters. Because when you say hello 78, you are John and you look good. This is not what we're trying to get, right? So the position of this matters a lot. So I'm going to change this now, right? And I'll put John first. Now, John will be stored in the name parameter, and 78. Sorry, it shouldn't be 78. It should be, it should be male, right? It should be stored in the gender parameter, right? So I run this and I can see now, hello, John, you are a male and you look good. So the position of your argument matters a lot. Hence, they are referred to as positional arguments. Now, when it comes to default arguments, what we are doing is we are specifying a default value to your I can come here and say name equals, I can say Yemi, right? Now, if I say name equals Yemi and I run this, let's look at it. Now, this is another thing you need to understand. You can see this error, syntax error. Remember, syntax means the rules and regulations that govern the use of a particular programming language. So in this case, in Python, when you are having a default argument, such as this, it is wrong for you to put it as the first thing. It should be the last. Take note. So your non-default argument will be the first. Your non-default argument will be the first. So in this case, name is the default argument. Why is it the default argument? Because it has a value with this parameter, right? So now let's run it again and let's see what we have. Now you can see it. Hello, Mail, you are John and you look good. Observe something. John is stored in gender, right? Male is stored in name because of their positions, right? Because of their position. Don't forget that. Don't forget that, right? John is stored in gender. Male is stored in name, right? And that's why you can see hello name. That's male, even though that's not what we want. So, of course, you can correct it by doing this, removing this, and putting it here. Now you can see it now. The position of my argument matches with the position of the parameters with which I want them to be stored in. So I want male to be stored in the gender parameter because gender comes first. And I want John to be stored in the name parameter because name comes second. So if I run this cell, you'll see it now. I have hello John, you are a male and you look good. Now, what if I now call Y and I pass in just one argument? Let's say I put in female and I run this. You can see it. Hello, Yemi. You are a female and you look good. Where is Yemi coming from? Yemi is coming from the default value I passed to my parameter when defining it. So what it's telling us is that we can choose not to put in an argument. Or we can choose to only put in one argument. Reason being that we've defined before that this function has a default argument. Are we getting this, please? Does anyone have any question, please? Okay. Okay, thank you. So now let's move to what we call arbitrary arguments. Now, when we talk about arbitrary arguments, we are referring to a function with any number of arguments. Any number of arguments. Take note, any number. That means n arguments. Referring to a function with n arguments. So I'm still going to use this same example. Of course, observe you can have various functions, right? I'm just using it just to maintain that. So to denote arbitrary argument, you put in the function that's in the parentheses, an asterisk value. And the general convention is to use args, right? But mind you, it can be any other thing. The variable name can be anything. But the general convention is to use args because it just makes sense. Arbitrary argument. So we're saying this function is a function of arbitrary argument. Whenever the Python interpreter comes here and it sees that this function has asterisk before the variable name, that's what the parameter, it will take it as an arbitrary function, right? That means it can take any number of arguments. Mind you, any number You usually want to use this when you don't know the number of arguments that will be passed, right? And it is important to know that it can also take in zero, because any number, zero is also a number, right? So it can take in zero. So let's just look at that. We can say, let me say, print, let's say print, hello, let me just put some X here. Um, Amazing. Okay, so let's look at this, right? Sorry. Okay, I think I forgot to put something. All right. So those backspaces are used to their escape characters, right? The escape characters. So let's look at this now. If I call this, let me assign this to X, right? I'm deliberately instantiating this function so you can, now this works, right? I mean, you can always instantiate a function. It's not really compulsory instantiate function, you can always do that, right? So I can say X here. Now if I call X and run this, you see it. Hello, empty bracket. You are empty bracket. You are amazing. Do you live at empty bracket? In this case, nothing is being passed. Nothing is being passed. If we now come here and we say, hello, let me see, oh, sure, right? You are a female, female, do you live, let me put, do you live at,
Ogbomoso.
Ogbomoso. Okay, I hope I get spelling right. Ogbomoso, right? I think it's spelling right. So let's run and see what we have. Let's run and see what we have. Good. Now observe something. Hello. Observe something, guys. Um, hello. You can see it. We have Funsho, female, Ogbomoso. You are Funsho, female, Ogbomoso. You are amazing. You live at female something Ogbomoso. Now, is this what we want? No, this is not what we want, because I mean, this not, we want it to be just 111. So how do you think we can do this? And do you know why it is even taking it as this in the first place? Are you with me, guys? Do you get my question?
Yes. So, like,
Did you get my question?
what was
You didn't get my question. Okay. I said, let me see. I can see someone drop something in the chat. Okay, good. Okay. Why are we having it like this? This is not how we want it to be, right? So why are we having it like this? Huh?
I feel God helping. instantiated.
What did you say?
I said I feel it's because they are not being instantiated.
The argument or the function, which?
The function.
The function is instantiated. You can see it on cell 12, line 7.
Okay, yes, the argument.
So they're instantiated, right?
Uh-huh.
I think the reason why we have those multiple everything there is because of the arbitrary arguments.
Because of what?
That we are not specific. The arbitrary arguments we are not specific. Like the parameter.
They are not, you say specific. I'm not sure I get that.
Yeah, for the position arguments, like the parameters. So it's like we are saying as much as possible. So everything will be printed.
I'm not sure I get what you're saying.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I am not sure I got what you said.
I said because it is arbitrary, it is not.
Mhm.
The arguments are not defined because it's arbitrary.
Okay. So usually, let me just break it down for you. Usually, when you're using arbitrary arguments like this, right? You can see the way we have it here. Even if I explain this thing to you guys, something about string method. Did we use the no? Have we worked on the joins method before? Join. This is what I want to explain to you basically. The way it is coming out. First, okay, let me first put it this way. What data structure is it coming out as we can see it like this? What data structure is it coming out as? Hello, Funsho, female, Ogumosho. You are this. What data structure is it? Like that. This, okay. I think I can put this question. Let me do this way. I want it again. Now, guys, can you see this now?
Yes.
What data structure is it coming out as?
A tuple.
Okay. Not really a tuple. Inside, it is coming out as a list.
As a list, yes.
Square brackets. Square brackets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Prince. Square bracket. So what we want to do is this. We would want the function to take this one as index 0. That's the function. We want this one to be taken as index 1. And finally, we want to be taken as index 2. So if I do this again, let's run it again. Okay, let me remove this from here. Let's remove it. We're going to have to remove this from this. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let me see. It's still coming out as this, and that's wrong. Let's say that's wrong. Let me call this in different way. Yeah. Let me pass in let me see. Your me here. Mail here. Then Lagos. So let's see what this gives us. So we have hello, Yomi, Mail Lagos, you are Yomi, Mail Lagos. Okay. So let me do this. Let me look through this. Have we done this comprehension before? Let me just look through. Let me see for A in X. I just want to just look through this. And so print A. Right, so let me run this and run this. Okay, so we have functional female promotion. That's correct. So if I do A index 0, that should give me functional, right? Okay. See. This is quite interesting. It's not bringing it as expected. I'll come back to this then. I'll come back to this. Let me just run this answer. Wait. So it's worked now. So what happened? Let me run this one again. Here, this is the expected output. Probably I didn't run the cell well. So this is what I was trying to get here. You can see the indexing. So function is index 0, female here is index 1, then promotion is index 2. right? So you can pass in many arguments. Let me see if I call in x alone without passing anything. Okay, index out of range. That's because I'm passing out 0, 1, 2. And that makes sense anyways. Right, that makes sense. Because this one now is just empty. I'm not putting anything there, it's empty, right? And what I've already done here is that I have said, give me specifically index 0 here, specifically index 1 here, specifically index 2 here. So it's not seeing anything, right? And because of that. Do you understand this, guys? Is there any question on this before I proceed further?
Sorry, the question you asked initially. So I think you should explain from maybe the reason why you asked the question and how you solve
Okay,
it.
okay, that's fine. So the question I asked then was this. You know, when we did it the first time, it was bringing out Hello, Funsho, female Ogbomoso together. Do you recall?
Yes.
So I asked how you could separate it like this, right? That was what I wanted to know, how you could separate it like this. And the answer to that question is that you can just index it like this and you'll be fine. So simply by indexing it, you can, what's it called? Simply by you indexing it, you can have access to. The other thing with indexing is that you have to be sure that, okay, I want to use 3 arguments, or I want to use 4. You have to know the number of arguments you want to use, right? If not, it won't be the best for you to index it. Let me give an example. If you say that get sums, right? And I put in an arbitrary argument here. Now I said it can be anything, so I can say nums in this case, right? I can just say print. Now let me use return because I want to introduce you guys to return. Return sum of nums, right? So if we call get sums here, and we pass in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? We pass this here, and we run this. You see, we have 55. So what this does is it returns the sum of all the arguments that has been passed to that function. And there are 10 arguments here. I can do the same here and call it get sums and just pass in maybe a few. I can say 45, 100, 12, 889. So you can see it. 1046. So in this case, I am not specifying that I want 3 arguments, unlike this that I'm saying index 0, index 1, index 2. Do you understand? And that's because, I have a specific thing I want to do. I want to just write out this information. You understand that? So it can take in as many as possible. Now, if we do get sums and we don't pass an argument, that's what we have. So you can see it works fine. We've done 0. So even without passing an argument, the arbitrary function will work. It will work fine, right? You don't have to pass an argument necessarily for it to work fine. Do you understand this, please? Okay. Let's talk about keyword arguments. Right? So keyword argument, just like now let me ask. When we are dealing with default arguments, where do we specify the default argument? Who can help us? When we talk about default argument, where do we specify it? Where do we specify the default argument? Is it at the point of definition or at the point of invoking? Sorry? At the what? I didn't get that. I don't know. Is it my mic that is low? I'm not hearing that. Low volume. Okay. What? Can you drop it in chat? Because I'm not hearing at all. My question is this: when we talked about default argument earlier, where do you specify it, the default argument? Is it at the point of definition or the point of invoking? That's the question. Yeah, okay, correct. That's correct. At the point of definition, right? Just as we have here, let me go back there again for those who can be it. You can see it's your thing. Name equals Yemi. Yemi here is the default argument, right? So at the point of definition, right? But when we're talking about keyword arguments, right? Keyword arguments. This one, the argument are put in at the point of invoking. So let's define the keyword argument. We can say, let me say names, right? So I can say first name, comma, middle name, comma, then last name. So this function takes in 3 parameters, as you can see here, right? 3 parameters. So I can say print the children are in this order, right? I can say the children are in this order. In this order. Bless my face. I can say first name, yeah. Excuse me, please. First name, yeah. Middle name, yeah. Then you can say, and the last one. Last name. That's your last one. Anyways, don't mind the. So let's instantiate this. We can just instantiate this to names, right? Or we can say children equals names, right? So I can come here and say children, then I'll pass in the values. Now observe this. I can say here, first name equals, let me say, I go south take first one, right? You can say middle name. This would be, let's say, Alexandra. Then last name equals to, let's say, tell me what. I'll take that one, right? So if we run this, let's see what we have here. So you can see the children are in this order: Egosa, Alexandra, and the last one. So observe, we are putting the parameters alongside their respective arguments. We can refer to this as key words. That means the keys are this first name, middle name, last name, with respective values. In this case, the values are Egosa, Alexandra, and Tomiwa. This is different from the one we did earlier on, default argument, whereby we specified it at the point of definition. In this case, we are specifying the keywords and their values at the point of invoking. That's when you're calling the function, right? Now, first name should be Egosa, middle name should be Alexandra, last name should be Tomiwa. Now, the flexibility with this is that the order can be anyhow. It doesn't have to be positional, right? So I can come here and say children. Let me just copy this. I can come here, put this here, right? I can put middle name in the first position. then I can put last name in the second position. And it won't affect the way the output will be. Can you see it? The output is not affected. So, unlike positional arguments, when we talk about keyword arguments, the output, the order or the position of your argument doesn't really matter. The output will still be the same. So you can see here, I follow the right order. First name came first, middle name came second, last name came third. That's where it is arranged in the function definition. But in this cell 33, I scattered them. They didn't follow the same arrangement. Yet we have the same output. That's the flexibility you have with what keyword arguments. Now, having done this, we'll now move to what we call arbitrary keyword argument. So with arbitrary keyword argument, what we can do is this. Unlike the arbitrary argument that you use one asterisk, arbitrary keyword argument, you use two asterisks to that. Two asterisks. Two. Right? So let's give an example real quick. I can say, let me see. Okay, let me just use names. Right? Now in this case, I can put in, now let me ask, for the right syntax, do default parameter or default argument come before non-default argument? Does default argument come before non-default argument when you are defining your parameters?
No.
No, thank you. So where does it come? Where does it come
In the last position.
Thank you very much. Last position, right? So if we have, let's say 5 arguments, and we want to make one default argument, that will have to come in the last position. Please take note. So this session will end shortly. When we resume again, we'll look at examples of arbitrary keyword arguments, right, and how they work. Arbitrary keyword arguments and how they work. Then finally, we'll now look at the return statement, the difference between the return statement and the print statement, between the two of them, right? We look at those two, then we'll take it up from there. Because this session will end shortly. Leona is just joining us. We'll be ending shortly, Leona. So just rejoin the meeting again.